Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
With Tech to the VO stars. George Whittam, founder of Source Elements. Robert Marshall, international audio engineer. Darren Robbo Robertson and global voice. Andrew Peters, thanks to Tribooth. Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Source Elements. George the Tech Whittam. And Robbo and AP's international demos. To find out more about us, check theproaudiosuite.com.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite thanks to Tribooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP200. That will get you $200 off your Tribooth. And also check out the Tribooth memo while you're at it. And Austrian Audio, making passion heard. There's a few myths that are being heard and shouldn't be heard, and one in particular that Robbo stumbled across just recently.
My bugbear, we actually talked about this just a couple of weeks ago, is using a gate on your voiceover. It's like, I still see it bouncing around, people talking about it, and it's not noise reduction, people.
I just had a gig where someone used a gate and it really messed stuff up.
It didn't
made it harder. Well, it was this person had a very long audiobook to do, and you could tell that they were doing it in different environments and different, like in the morning and the evening. And throughout a chapter, the noise would increase, and they had a gate. But one of the things I noticed is because they gated everything, and I actually found that in some ways, the AI noise reduction wasn't as good as the traditional take a fingerprint noise reduction. Because it seems like a lot of the times the AI noise reduction is more about just like a amazing shrink wrap. It's like the perfect gate around the words, but within the words, sometimes the noise is still there.
Sneaking through, yeah, absolutely.
But with the fingerprint noise reduction, it was actually like ripping that noise out more.
Causing slightly more artifacts in the process, though.
More artifacts, yes. More wishy-washy, yes. The AI sounded more natural, but this noise was noisy enough that they wanted more of it removed. And the problem with the gate that I actually had was that I had no noise to take a fingerprint of.
Yeah, well, that's frustrating too.
Of course. Yeah.
And it was all so short, and I couldn't get in there, and it was very hard.
Yeah.
This one I was dealing with had missing T's and S's and all sorts of ugly stuff. But let me ask you this then, if we're going to discuss whether gate should be used on voiceover or not. When was the last time you put a gate on a voice as you were recording it?
Never.
Right. I rest my case.
I edit.
Too many people set up with a channel strip. Like, I know voice actors or audiobook narrators specifically would not have chosen to do that. Some producer would have set them up with that. So they've been using a Symmetrix 528E, then they get a DBX286 because
they have expander gates built into them.
Yeah, and they're told to do it that way. And I have a client in particular who does a lot of books, and I said, it's tricky, man. I said, if your input level is a little bit off that day, if you're coming a little bit weak, whatever, that it's just not going to always open the gate up.
Especially on an audio book where you're acting as well, and so you're sort of your energy's going to change and all that sort of shit. You're in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah,
it's like the scenario that I would least prefer it being used, and then it's being like recommended / mandated by a production company to do it. Then it's like, come on.
If I was their engineer for the audio company, they'd be getting a big from me.
Yeah.
I hear gates all the time on like the news. You can hear that. You can hear it chopping down the echo in the room that they're in. And it's like, I get it. You can't do anything if it's live, then the gate's the best thing, I guess. But if it's recorded, don't do it. It's too risky.
Yeah, it's the ultimate of destructive processing. It is absolutely unrecoverable. At least EQ can be somewhat re-EQ'd if it's a little bit too bright, a little bit too boomy, whatever.
Even a compressor can almost be expanded, but a gate, especially one that goes down to zilch, got nothing.
I commented on a post on Facebook. This was a while ago now. Someone posted something about noise reduction and someone mentioned a gate, and I said, well, if you think you should use a gate on your voiceover, next time you're sending your final audio to an engineer, go through and just slice out a few bits of audio and send it to them and see what their response is.
Here's the thing about the gate. If you put the gate on, you might not get caught in real time and you might think you're okay. But even if you don't hear about it later, they will curse you later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're on a phone patch, as we like to say, almost never happens, but if you're on a Zoom or any kind of a remote direct, you're recording yourself, absolutely don't use a gate in that scenario because you have 100% post-production control over that audio before it sends out. So even if you're embarrassed by some noise or something that happened, you can always re-record it and punch it in or just fix it in post. Don't commit yourself to that.
Reach for a better tool.
And if you're on Source Connect, I guarantee they won't want to hear it because the first thing they're going to hear is what you're doing to the audio because they're listening to your little studio mic in your little booth over their $10,000 monitors, man. They hear everything. So don't even try to fool them.
And even if they're distracted, they're going to hear it later when they get into it, and then they're going to be upset.
Well, that's what I find interesting when sessions are done via, Zoom or Teams or whatever, is that the person at the other end is not hearing the audio, really. They're just hearing something coming down the channel. They're not hearing what's actually being recorded. They're not hearing what's going on. Even worse when they don't even put an engineer on the other end. Yeah. We'll just record it ourselves in direct and have the talent send us. And we assume that the talent's a full-up engineer and has everything taken care of. And it's like, I even get that with engineers. I mean, I've talked to engineers who have done the same, who do this, where we do the session over Zoom and then I forward the recorded audio to them to do whatever they're going to do.
What are they trying to bill more hours?
No, well, I think because we've talked together about this one studio who really do want to get Source Connect but haven't at this stage, but which we must talk about actually, get them to do it. But anyway, so when they get audio, I've talked to them about, but surely some of the people sending you audio must be
garbage.
Is it all good or what? And it's like a lot of it, in fact, the majority of it, 80% is really bad.
Rubbish. Yeah.
This is why you radio guys make everything sound like a radio filter and stuff, because you're like, oh, I crack crap. I got it. The only thing I can do is make it sound crappier.
Yeah.
Distort it and put a telephone filter on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always that. You sort of wonder why you're worrying about capturing pristine audio and then putting all these sort of effects and shit on it anyway.
Distortions. But,
it does make it easier than trying to start from shit, as I'm sure you know.
Well, it's really funny when you said something. You go, oh, there's a bit of reverb. Your room's a bit lively. Yeah, and you go, oh, okay, yeah. And then, of course, if you send pristine audio, they go, oh, I might chuck a bit of reverb on that to give it a bit of zing.
Yes, but see, the difference is I get to control how much reverb goes on there. Yeah.
It's a different. It's like not like a short slapback sound compared to an actual hall or something. The other thing I've seen is actually, honestly, like full up studios are like, oh yeah, we built our room, but the air conditioning is always noisy, and they're putting signal through with like real-time noise reduction.
CVOX.
Yeah, like
CVOX. I was going to ask you about the CVOX
is the better one, I think. I think that's more benign. I've seen them use the isotope one that takes a fingerprint of the noise.
Voice denoise.
And then
they're running that in
I don't think that one is so
on
transparent. It's
no, it's not.
Yeah.
If the problem is it's just not that different from NS1 and others is that you can only use like 5% out of 100. The problem with all these plugins is the scale, the range of the control is dramatically out of whack. What is 10% should be like 80 or 90%, right?
Yeah.
And so they give you this enormous range of controls. So, so what are you going to do as a user? I mean, you'd probably assume maybe you start somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle is like grossly overprocessed.
MP3 sounding now.
I mean, if you put NS1 at 50%, it does sound like a gate. It chops the hell out of the audio. So that's another problem too, is the design of the tools. I use the ones built in Adobe Audition, same thing. If I use more than 5 to 8% out of those noise, it sounds crap. So that's part of the problem too.
So what are some of the other myths, do we reckon? I mean, for me, USB mics is a big one. For me, USB. And also the other one that gets me about mics too is that I see a lot of times is, you got to have a Neumann or you've got to have a, something or other, one of these expensive mics to be able to do voiceover. I kind of feel like that.
What's the myth? So what exactly is the myth about USB mics?
Well, the USB mics are good. They're acceptable. I mean, I kind of...
Are they?
I'm on the fence on that one. I mean, there are some, maybe...
I think there's scenarios that it's good and scenarios where it's bad. I think the scenarios where it's bad is if you're live directed, because then if they're like, can you make a little gain adjustment on your mic? and you don't either, one, have a gain knob to control period, which many of them don't. Like the Rode NT 1/5 Gen, there's no gain knob.
This is
on the mic.
32-bit. You don't have to worry about gain anymore.
Right.
Exactly.
And then, some of the actors like, I don't even know how to adjust the gain. Right. That's one problem. Another problem with USB mics is when the gain knob is on the mic, then they're like, yeah, I'll adjust the gain. And they're playing with the microphone. You're like, what? What are you doing? I said, adjust the gain. Well, the knob's on the mic. And like, that doesn't look,
right. That makes you
very
look
professional.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can buy the Rode NT 1/5 Gen, and it does record very good quality over USB. But I think it's fine in a self-direct home record, doing like a game or doing like music or something. But yeah, in a real-time session.
If you're going to record in that situation anyway, okay, if you're going to record at home, why not just invest in a decent sort of, even just a scarlet and be done with it? I mean, rather than...
Yeah.
I think here's the thing about USB mics is that, as with any microphone thing, it is first and foremost placement. Putting an iPhone in the right place will sound better than a Neumann U87 in the wrong place. We all know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Placement. Yeah.
But that scale, it's like you want to be, if you're charging whatever, $400 an hour as a voice actor or whatever, union is, you want to be in the top 90, 95% of sound quality. And what sounds good enough might not really be good enough. And it's really, really easy with the USB mics to fall very far down that because of a lot of things. You can't get a cable that's long enough away from your computer. So you're stuck in many other ways. Sometimes they don't have a monitor plugged into them. They're just so limiting. And I just don't think that, except for the most basic setups, they're not worth the investment. You can buy an XLR mic, and now you have something that you can use pretty much for a lifetime, or a USB mic, which is guaranteed to be outdated at some point and chuck it in the garbage at some point. So they're not pro.
It's like,
I don't think.
No, USB interfaces, same thing. I mean, there'd be landfill of so many interfaces now that are just so out of date and just don't work properly anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Stability is a problem with some USB interfaces. I mean, what a USB mic is basically the cheapest, tiniest USB interface they could buy.
Correct. It's like
the body
all
of the
on
mic.
a chip. It's like the mic preamp and the USB interface on one chip.
Right.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions. I know I've heard some Apogee mics that sound pretty good. I know that Sennheiser's MK4 Digital is really a decent USB mic, but those are exceptions.
Yeah.
But very much an exception. Most people are buying USB mics because they're inexpensive. They're not buying them because they happen to be good at what they do and that they're $300 to $500 mics. They're buying them because they're not cheap. They're cheap.
And if you want the convenience of a USB mic, but you don't want to, consider something like a Shure the new one. It's like that'll take
MVX2U.
MVX2U, right? It'll take any mic and turn it into a USB mic. It'll give you all the convenience of the USB mic without making the dead end investment into a USB mic. Because once all that stuff is bolted together, you can't separate it, and now one of those components going old, bad, renders the whole thing useless.
Yeah. Becomes a disposable mic. To me, it's kind of like the iMac problem too. You can get a cool iMac, they look nice and they work fine, but when the computer is obsolete or the screen goes out, you're throwing out everything. That's another thing that never made sense. I think the iMac is good for, the front desk at an aerobics studio or something, but
it's like a laptop without the convenience of a laptop.
Yeah. It's not even fair to say because it's not a bad computer. I have clients that have them, but that's what bothers me about it. It's like the USB mic problem. When the mic, something goes wrong, you throw the whole thing out. You're done.
So what's another myth here? Okay, so is this a myth? Like, how much coaching do you need once you are in a career compared to like I can understand needing coaching if you've not been in sessions and you need to simulate a session and get a feel for what it's like to be directed. But once you've been in sessions, I've seen a lot of successful voice actors seeking out coaching, and sometimes I think, if anything, you should be coaching somebody.
But then,
when does coaching end?
Well, I don't know when coaching ends, but then it's also interesting to see some people who are coaching who you think, you haven't been around that long. And yet
right.
Coaching.
What do you got? What are you
what's the
offering
deal there?
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, look, I agree. You should. I'm not sure whether you employ a coach. I never had a coach, but you certainly learn stuff pretty quickly
in session.
The do's and the etiquette of doing this for a living. I mean, I had no clue that when I was booked for a job for you do an hour session, that's your booking is an hour. I used to think, well, I better do the whole hour so they get their money's worth.
Get the hell out of here. Yeah, just read it quick.
Because that's what I thought. I thought, well, you pay me for the hour, so I should stay here for the hour. And all they want is like, you stay here. If you get out of here in 5 minutes, we're going to be very happy.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly. Because then the rest of the time we can get this done and pay less. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And also you using your eyes in a session, which we don't so much now because we're usually working remotely, but using your eyes in the session, watching body language through the glass, even though you're hearing one instruction verbally, you can actually pick up more from looking at the visual cues of the person, what they really mean.
Right.
So that was an
So is coaching something that more is like, if you want to get experience and you've not been hired on a job, you can have a coach simulate what it's like to be in session, but really the true coaching is just getting gigs and being directed and screwing some up and winning some. And I don't know. I think that there's a lot of coaching going on that I see. Like I said, I see people getting coached that are like, you don't need coaching.
Exactly. I don't get it. And it's certainly in this country, in Australia, the coaching is very, very unusual.
Yeah, it is a little. I mean, it's funny. Look, I can put my perspective on this, having never been a voiceover artist, but as an audio engineer, I've never had a lesson or a formal lesson in 36 years, right? So technically, in terms of, all the stuff that Robert and George are very good at, I'm not great at that stuff. But what I think I have is a good pair of ears and an understanding of how to get a sound to sound the way I want it to sound. But technically, as you know, AP, there's stuff that George and Robert talk about that goes over both our heads. But I kind of feel like, and maybe that's where coaching can make up the difference. And you might put a voiceover perspective on that. But I kind of feel like if I did coaching now, I wouldn't want to know about the hands-on stuff. I'd want to know about all that technical stuff that I've never really learned or understood. Well, I understand it, but I've never really learned the whys and wherefores. You know what I mean? And I wonder whether coaching fills those gaps in a voiceover sense.
I don't think it's interesting with coaching because I think the best coach you're ever going to work with is an audio engineer who's got a lot of experience. Mm. Like if you're new to the game and you go into a director's session with a person that's worked with, done thousands and thousands of sessions, you're going to learn a hell of a lot more with that person than you're ever going to learn from a coach.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the best coaches are booth directors or directors,
right,
/ engineers or producers by far. Absolutely. I have a totally different myth that's more tech kind of related.
Yep.
That getting a booth means you have an instantly great sounding recording environment.
Yeah, yes. That's a nice one.
No, yeah.
Give that man a cigar.
It is not true at all.
I just dealt with that on the job I just did was a voice talent at home and another voice talent who went to a studio. And man, it's like, again, it's that thing that you don't notice when you're in session as much, and then you start getting into it. And as you know, when you take a signal and you compress it, then boom, all the flaws
come out. Yeah.
Yep. And it's like, oh, I hear the booth. And I was sitting there trying to notch it out. And it just, sometimes you try to notch it out and it makes it sound worse. You're just like, it's just stuck that way. And you can hear it that we did this spot and the English version sounds great. And the foreign language version was a booth at home. And it just has that sound, and to a lot of people, they won't know what that sound is, but it's the sound of a small box, and you just can't get away from it. It's so hard.
You become complacent to it, and it's not really like that you don't care. Maybe that's not the right word. It's just that it's like nose blindness.
Yeah.
You come home and you go from vacation, you go, this is what my house smells like?
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens to you, but it's like when you're used to the sound of your own booth and the way it sounds day after day, week after week, month after month, it's normal. I mean, I was used to the sound of bad sounding whisper rooms for quite a long time. I just thought that's what it sounded like.
It's
I didn't
when you
know
get
any
a
better.
nice open sounding studio recording, like from a nice big dead booth that doesn't have all those nodes, and then you get the other tight one. You're like, oh, like.
Well, it's because I was working with like my first 5 or 6 real paying voiceover clients were all home studio promo voiceovers, so that was the norm. And then I would start hearing good, really, truly great recordings. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I started to learn what it's supposed to sound like and what it could sound like. And then it really opened my eyes. And then, ever since then, it's been the pursuit of trying to capture or recreate that great sound, from a really small space. But, if they were like, oh, I have a really high ceiling, I hear that's bad. I'm like, no, that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, they're like, oh, I heard that's bad. I'm like, no, that's just another myth. It's just, there's so many myths about acoustics because many of it maybe are not conventional wisdom. It's not logical to you or whatever, but it's not the case at all. You want to have every hard surface as far away from the mic as humanly possible.
Right. You want no hard surfaces in the room, and you want them all to be far away. Like the booth can kind of do two things for you. It can deaden it up, and it can deal with noise as long as there's not excessive noise outside the booth. It can take care of those two things.
Right.
It's like noise reduction. It's going to solve your problem, and it's going to cause you a new problem.
Right. It's the irony. Like you buy this very expensive, confining, hot, uncomfortable box, shove yourself and your mic in there. You torture yourself for an hour only to deal with the fact that you're getting, for many people's, an occasional noise from the neighborhood or something. But 99% of the time, it's probably fine. You know what I mean? And so that's the reality. I mean, it's not true for where it's been abnormally quiet for the last hour in my home studio. But I mean, normally you'd hear aircraft,
there's usually
and
a couple.
dogs, and
listen to my room
something
right now. You got the whole air conditioner. I'm in a very live room. I mean, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's mic technique. It's how loud you are. It's your projection. It's all these things. But it is definitely a misnomer that spreads, far and wide. There's only one voiceover booth company that has worked with me directly. And I'm not trying to say I'm the king of all voiceover studios, but I don't know anybody making voiceover booths who have collaborated with a voiceover engineer to ensure and listen and try to make it sound better. But vocalbooth.com here in the States has done that. They're the only ones that
I think you're right. They are the only ones.
Sat down with me and invited me over and let's play with stuff.
I think we chatted with you while you were there, didn't we? Didn't we do an episode while you were there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, I give them huge props for that. I mean, Studio Bricks has got an acoustician now that works in-house, which is great. And they're doing some, their new booths do sound pretty good. But it's taken them 12 plus years to get there. Other companies never got there. They just keep doing the same stuff over and over because most people don't know the difference. It's like the blind leading the blind.
And for this certain level of work, it's good enough.
It's good enough.
IVR. Audiobooks. And
they get away with murder.
Yeah.
Those books, a lot of them sound bad. It don't even matter.
Right.
I hate to say it.
And so it's like the booth will get you a certain level, and then you either have to hire someone like you, George, to tune it out. But I would argue that you can't ultimately completely tune a booth to not sound like a booth.
It's very difficult because by the time you treat enough of the surface with a thick enough treatment,
there's no room for you.
You can't move around very much.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't bump into the walls, right? I mean, I had a client just very recently send me a sample, and he listed painstakingly all the panels he had and how thick they were in his notes, and I was like, Jesus, 6-inch thick panels. And I listened to the sample, and it was amazing. I was like, that's one of the best sounding raw files I have heard in a long time. I was like, who consulted you on booth design? And he didn't really make that too clear. He just said, I insisted on these panels. The guy making them or the dealer selling them was like, no, you don't need that. And he was like, no, this is what I want. And then sure enough, it sounded fantastic because he had the right amount and the thick enough panels in the right places. My Studio Brick booth here behind me that you guys can't see on the show, sorry, but it's got up to 6 inches of paneling on the walls.
Well, the only real, like the 2-inch or the 1-inch stuff deals with a lot, but it does not hit the low end well enough.
No, it doesn't get the meat of the frequency range of most voices, even women. There's a tremendous amount of standing waves and resonances below 300, 300 and 400 hertz. And those panels do 0 to those. So in my case, I just put the thickest panels above my shoulders, right? So yeah, they're encroaching in my space, but they're not in my wingspan, if you know what I mean. They can move my elbows around. And so, yes, it's a little claustrophobic, but not so much because I can still move around, but I have that 6 inches of paneling at my head level, and it works surprisingly well without feeling too cramped. But so you just have to be clever about it. And if you need help, talk to people like us because, man,
exactly.
We know what it's supposed to sound like.
I can still remember the first setup I had, which when I think about it now was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then the second one I built, which was not quite as ridiculous, but still pretty ordinary. It was basically in a cupboard, that kind of thing, with acoustic foam inside a cupboard. It sounded like you're actually recording inside a motorcycle helmet. But
an Isovox.
Yeah, exactly. A giant helmet. And then the third one, when I actually sort of thought, no, I better get a bit more serious about this, and I got a guy came over and helped me, and we built one which sounded really, really good. And then, of course, this is the last one I built here.
This one you have sounds pretty good, and it's got a good length to it. That's one of the things. It's not a small booth. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, the booth is over behind me. I'm sitting out in the main room here. But it's big enough.
It's at least like 6 foot, isn't it?
More.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all go through the same sort of progression. I mean, Jesus, if I think about my first home studio, it was in 2002, and it was the old G4 Mac, the grey sort of thing and all that sort of stuff. And
the Quicksilver.
And it was an M1.
Did it have a mirror on the front?
Yeah, that's the one. And an M box and a version of Pro Tools. And I had no treatment in the room. There was the wall behind me was a big long wall of bookshelves and full of books and trinkets and stuff.
Diffuser.
So,
that was your diffuser,
right? So exactly.
Diffuser.
So I didn't do anything really in the room, and I would sort of just mix in headphones and all that sort of stuff. And I compare it to now, with panels I've made on the walls and the curtains behind me and all the shit that I've done and all that sort of stuff, and the bookshelf intentionally down there because for some reason stuff was ricocheting. I was originally going to have that behind me, but I shoved it down in that corner. So like you think about the progression, and if you could see the studios in the middle of all that, it was certainly sort of just up a level each time, I suppose. But then I guess each time you build a studio, you think, okay, well, what am I going to do this time that didn't work last time and stuff? So it's probably logical.
Unless you have an interest in this at a young age and you intern and you get to be in the environment and talk to the designers, those things just never happen. It's a black art. And so you just learn it as you go, because unless you're lucky enough to get to the right person early on and you get to not have to make a lot of mistakes, that happens, but it's very, very rare. And so you really just learn as you go and you get better and better over time. I'm still learning stuff all the time.
That's what's fun about audio, is that you're always learning stuff. It's never over. It's like a continuous thing. It's like it's like that thing where I remember when I was out of high school, just beginning to record drums, and then every time it was like every drum kit I recorded, this one's better than the last one I did, and I got it even better. And it's like you get this feeling like, I finally got it, and then you do another one, you're like, it's even better, and you start learning how to deal with drum kits.
I won't do that again.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Yeah, well, there's that
or you start realizing what it is that is like, that one recorded really well, and what was it? It wasn't anything I did. The damn thing was tuned.
You can tune drums?
Oh yeah, like amazing. And so that whole journey, and it's like it's exciting when you're improving. It's like anything.
Yeah, totally is.
Yep.
And that's not a myth.
No, that's not.
No, that's a fact.
That's not a myth.
And if you mythed this episode, go back to the beginning.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
the Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth, and Austrian Audio, recorded using Source Connect, edited by Andrew Peters, and mixed by Robbo. Got your own audio issues? Just ask Robbo.com. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, proaudiosuite.com.